quick question, Jean, sorry.
Yeah.
Of course, Erica.
The other day I saw the movie of San Ignacio de Loyola, and I remember so much of Marge because one part of the movie he was doing Lectio Divina, no? Do you think those I'm really touched because every day somebody that I listen mention Ignacio de Loyola, no? Do you think those exercises of Ignacio de Loyola, that what I'm amazed that were inspired for more than 400 years ago, can help us in Lectio Divina? What do you think? I don't.
Okay, thank you very, very much for your question. So what is the relationship between the spiritual exercises of Saint Ignatius of Loyola and the Lectio Divina? This is a very important question. First of all, what are the spiritual exercises? The spiritual exercises are first and foremost Saint Ignatius' personal experience of conversion. They are divided in 4 different weeks. They are a process of conversion and renewal to start a new life. He then meditated on his own experience of conversion, and I'm talking conversion, okay? He meditated on his experience of conversion, and within conversion in Saint Ignatius, you have also the clarification about in which direction my life will go, which means the call. This is why later on the exercises became known as one of the essential aspects of the exercises is called election. And election means to elect, means to choose. To choose means to understand God's call and have some clarity on it. So people technically, in the mind of Saint Ignatius, when you do the exercises, you are meant to do them for conversion and election. So you're not supposed to do the exercises. I know that many people say this becomes a style of life. Fine, I understand, and I will go there. But initially, it was meant as a long retreat of almost a month, offered to people in an important junction in their life, between a previous life and a future life, in order to reach a certain discernment and a certain certainty if they are called or not, where they are called or not. And the outcome could be negative. It's like they're not called for this, and then they stay and wait for longer. Okay, so the initial idea of the exercises was that. Now they are divided in 4 weeks. He wrote down the exercises and how to lead the exercises, and it became, I would say, one of the essential parts of the charisma of or the spirit of the Jesuits, all the rest of the company of Jesus. They are called company now, Company of Jesus. Now they became a book, and the Jesuits are supposed to continue that mission, understand the spirit of the exercises. Now, within the exercises themselves, one of the essential elements of the exercise is when the person who follows the retreat, it's like a retreat if you want, exercises are a type of retreat. When you follow the retreatant, if you want, has a personal meeting with a spiritual director. That's fundamental for the spiritual exercises. Spiritual exercises, I can't just read them or watch them. I live them, and when I live them, I have somebody in front of me who is guiding me. If you don't have this person, there is an essential element of the exercises that is lacking. So you need a one-to-one experience, okay? One-on-one experience, that's fundamental for the exercises. Now, this spiritual guide indicates different readings throughout the day, various readings from the scriptures. In this sense, there is a huge similarity or closeness of spirit between the spiritual exercises and Lectio Divina. But it's on a larger scale and it could be various texts in one shot. Like he can give you 3 texts to meditate. You go there for an hour or 2, and then you come back. Or it could be done with 1 text. It depends. But anyway, here lays the similarity between Lectio Divina and the spiritual exercises, in the sense that you are praying all over these texts, and you, throughout 1 week or 4 weeks, God is talking to you, and the spiritual director is listening to the action of God in you and is guiding you with more texts. So you finish these texts, he gives you more text and give you more text, etc. And it goes on and on and on and on. So you have probably, they have a sort of a pattern, like they are following a certain plan, but they're adapted to the person and to the need of the person, which shows here the genius of then the spiritual director, the guide, because he or she needs to have a long experience before starting really to give the retreats or to guide somebody. Now, here where it starts and here where it ends. Now, today, you know, when you read the history of the Jesuits and the history of spiritual life in the Jesuits, it's very interesting. So I wouldn't dare go there because that's not my business. But it is true that in the recent years, you hear the tendency, maybe you haven't heard, but I of course heard of it, where you have some Jesuits who offer the exercises on daily basis. So they try in a way to offer a certain type of lectio, coming with the spirit of the exercise. But what are the exercises again? Initially, they are for conversion and election, but physically, how they work very similarly to Lectio Divina, which is listening to the word of God, listening to God, through his word. I mean, who can stop other people from using something from the sacramentality of the word of God? Nobody can stop them. But is this Lectio Divina? Initially, in the mind of Saint Ignatius, the answer is certainly no, in the strict meaning of Lectio Divina, because it's dedicated for 1 week or 4 weeks, repeatedly, maybe after 5 years or whatever. You see, because it's tough. I mean, the 1 month exercise is tough, beyond tough. If you go through it, it's good, but it's tough, and it's for discernment, for people who think they are called to become a monk or a nun or a priest. You see, and they are not sure yet. And the outcome is not always yes. The outcome could be no, or wait. In state of doubt, you don't move. No, when you are doubting, you don't move. You don't have any direction to take. So here is the thing. So now you do whatever you want. You want to attend exercises. I do recommend the exercises. The 1 week one are very powerful. I received them. I went through them. Amazing, powerful, unique experience, because in a way it's the scriptures, no, but you are guided. You have somebody who guides you. That's fundamental. And I owe my experience of the exercises to the priest who was there. Could be a lay person, but in my case it was a priest, was a Jesuit, a very knowledgeable Jesuit, and it stays in my heart, it stays in my being, that moment. But it doesn't mean that the rest of my life everything stopped. On the contrary. So I don't know if I answered your question. So it is not Lectio Divina as such. It is dedicated to a certain goal. Now, what do you do out of it? That's the Jesuits' responsibility, not mine. You want to play with it, you want to transform it, you want to apply it, fine. Cardinal Martini, who was a Jesuit, a very important Jesuit in the last century, who was a scholar in the Bible, teaching in the Biblicum in Rome. He's an Italian, Carlo Maria Martini, who became later Archbishop of Milan, decided to spread Lectio Divina in his diocese. So Cardinal Martini decided to spread Lectio Divina in his diocese. He took the famous 4 steps, which is a bit of a strange reduction of Lectio Divina: read and meditate, pray, and contemplate, and he completed it. And I think that the entire church owes him as a Jesuit, with deep insight and discernment, a development of an understanding of these 4 reductive steps. You often hear here and there in the church, and it's written in now, it's becoming almost official everywhere, that in order to do Lectio, you have 4 steps, which is reading, then meditating, then contemplating, then praying, then contemplating, which is extremely misleading. Unfortunately, that's my opinion. Unfortunately for the church, it's extremely misleading, because it's like pointing you toward upwards, contemplating, and then what do you do? But we owe, and I say something that is very important for Lectio Divina, we owe Cardinal Martini the fact that he clarified what is contemplation and how it should lead to putting into practice the word of God. So he added various steps after, and the most essential one is actio in Latin, which is action, act, what I call in Lectio Divina the act that Jesus is asking us to do. Thank you. It's very good, it's very important to check your Lectio Divina, and don't hesitate even to do it on a one-on-one session with Marty or me or other people. It's important to check your Lectio, because you can spend months and months thinking that you're doing Lectio, but while in fact there is something important lacking. So please let us have the humility to seek wisdom from God through the church, through somebody who is entitled to transmit to you this experience and this discernment, as we all do and did with other people, priests and others, and monks, etc. So yes, we need to meet, but also don't hesitate to ask personal questions, or have a one-on-one session with Marty or with me if you want, to check a checkup. Exactly, a little bit like the priest does during the spiritual exercises. I will never forget this experience. Sorry to close with that. He gave me 3 readings. I did meditate on 2 readings, and I came back to him. I said, I did on these 2 readings. He said, and why you didn't do it on this one? It was on Zacchaeus, no? I said, I already meditated on that text before, and I know it. His answer, and here are the Jesuits, and I like them here. He said, go back to your room and meditate on this text. That experience was fundamental in my life. Why? Because he forced me, and of course I trusted him, and I went. I had a unique experience of thinking. You see here the intellect works, no? I know the text. I meditated on it, and I received the grace through it. It's not just intellectual, it's spiritual. My resistance was spiritual. I said, but I received the grace on it, and I meditated on it, and God talked to me through it. But before the exercises, he said, go back to your room. So the experience I got was that the same text is being word of God, is capable of talking to me in a completely different, in a new way today. The same text. So this is word of God. This is diamond, living diamond.
Amazing.
It's active. It's amazing. It reflects lights in all directions. It's incredible. So I thought it was one light. He said no. So in fact, he was saying it's a diamond. It's not one little LED lamp. It's a diamond. Go back. So I went back, and I'm grateful to God that he reacted this way. It was a bit abrupt, but I don't mind. So just to close on this joyful note.
Okay. Thank you, God.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
God
Glory
bless
be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Thank you very much for your patience. Sorry for being long.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, Margie.
Bye-bye.